I had a friend today ask me how I make a graph like this using Sacramento MLS. This graph has all sales in the city of Elk Grove. It compares typical sales versus bank-owned ones versus short sales. Something like this is useful because then you can really see, well, what's the market doing? Is there a premium for certain houses depending on whether they're distressed or not, or is there a premium for single story versus two story, or a certain square footage range, or a certain bed count? There's a lot of different factors you can look at when you graph like this. So let's check out the Anatolia neighborhood in Rancho Cordova. I've already drawn the neighborhood and I've gone down and I'm going to look at all sales from November 2010 to November 2011. Okay, and I've already saved this search because it's going to be really important to use the search later. So let's go to export right here. Maybe you've never used that before, but what this does is it exports the data and enables you to use it in a different program like Excel, Numeric, or Open Office. I'm going to use Numeric here, and it gives you different options. Click on here, go to Realty Tools without photos, click Submit, and then you're going to save this somewhere. I'm going to save it on my desktop. And I'm going to call it, let's see, new folder, Anatolia data. And I'm going to label this one with a very scientific name of all sales, because this data right here, there's all sales in Anatolia. I think there were, what, 220 or something last year. So extract all files, because it's a zip folder. With yes, I'm going to extract, and what that's going to bring up is this says listing. You're going to right click on that, go to open with, and then open it with whatever program you have. Excel, Numeric, Open Office. I'm going to use Numeric. That's the one that I use frequently. And basically what you're going to do, you're going to try to isolate sales price and sales date. And so you're going to want to get the sold price over to the right of the sold date. Okay, here's the sold date, and you're going to need to get this data over here, right here. So how do you do that? Well, it's easy. Left click on this column and sold price, and then you're going to right click and go to cut, and then you're going to left click on this column and right click. You're going to go to paste. Okay. Now let's get rid of everything else here that we don't need. I just highlighted it. I'm going to click delete because we're going to use these other columns for something else. And let's see, I can simply highlight these. I hold down my mouse and I go click this chart icon right up here, insert a chart, and where it says show sample, click show sample. Well, here are all sales in Anatolia over the past year. Okay, these are everything, everything from arm's length, REO versus short sale. Well, now how do we dissect these then and begin to look at, well, which ones were REO, which ones were short sales, and is there going to be a difference in what we can see? Well, let's go back to MLS because we're going to export some other data and see what we can really work with. Now, in this neighborhood, I mean, it might not really tell us something. There were only 200 sales. It's kind of a shot in the dark. It may work, it may not work, but again, you don't have to export just distress sales. You can really look at anything you want, from style of house to bed count, a specific square footage range. I mean, really whatever you would like. So let's go to additional criteria, and I just want to make sure that short sales is not selected. It shouldn't be. But let's scroll down. Okay, that's good. And let's isolate REOs. So we're going to click on REO, and again, I went to additional criteria, REO. And you could really isolate, you could include the REOs and exclude everything else. You could isolate anything, even pools. And so that could be good. So if you're looking for how much is a pool really worth in the market, go to export. And we're simply going to open this up then in Excel so we could begin to look at some other things. Go to Realty Tools without photos, click Submit. We're going to open this up, just left click on it to zip file. We're going to save it, and let's include some sort of name like all REO. Okay, these are only REO sales. Go to Open, and then we're going to go to Extract All Files. Yes, extract. Okay, piece of cake, and then we're going to right click where it says listing. Oops. Right click and then go to open with, and I'm going to use Numeric. Okay, and what we're going to have to do, remember, isolate sold price and sold date, because that's what we're looking for. We're making a basic scatter graph that shows plots price versus time. So we're going to highlight, left click on sold price, and then right click and go to cut, and then left click on this column, and then right click and then click paste. Okay, now we're going to highlight this, and the way I do that, I just click down my mouse, keep it down, and then press Control C. That's a shortcut for cut. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to open up the original spreadsheet that we had, which has all Anatolia sales there. Okay. Now I'm going to highlight 2 more columns there, and then press Control V, which is paste. Okay. Now I just pasted all REO sales. Okay, so this column here is all REO, and the original one is all short sales. So if we highlight the original one, we can click chart, show sample, and kind of look at that. Okay, all right, there we go. There we see, you see one sale in Anatolia. I think that one was the one around 450, 460, 470. Sold recently. I was kind of surprised about that, to be honest. And let's look at REOs just to see if we can notice a difference. No REOs sold above 350. So interesting. Now let's go ahead and go back and import some short sales. Okay, so we're going to go back to our original MLS neighborhood search. Okay, and the way we're going to get to short sales very easily and quickly, we're going to click on additional criteria. As soon as my computer decides to get there, kind of slow. I think this one's going to bite the dust soon. So let's click on additional criteria. And what we're going to do, we're going to make sure that REO is not selected. So we're going to have to clear that. Make sure we're working with the right stuff here. Clear. Okay, so we're not looking at REOs. We're going to scroll down and look at short sales to isolate that data and export it. So yes, short sales, no to everything else. Click export. And then we're going to open that up in numeric when we have a chance. And let's see, Realty Tools without photos, submit. Click on the zip file, and then we're going to save it. And we're going to call this short sales. Open. Then extract all files. Extract, yes. And then we're going to right click on this where it says listing. Open with numeric. Seem pretty basic? Well, that's because it is. Okay, so remember, sold price, we're going to left click. And we're going to right click to cut. And then we're going to paste it over here. Okay, these are all short sales. I'm going to push Control C. And we're going to try to basically then put all these short sales on the original graph. Okay, remember, these are all sales in Anatolia, all REOs, and then let me highlight these 2 columns, and then push Control V. Those are all my short sales. Let's just check out the short sales, see what they look like. Okay, so there's a couple closer actually to 400. Interesting. Remember the REOs? There were none close to 400. So now, how do we look at all these at one time? Well, once you have everything, all your data here in the spreadsheet that you really want to look for and make the graph, you've got to have it all there first. Then highlight the first 2, and then push Control. Okay, and then you can highlight other things. And then what you can do, push the little graph, show sample. Boom! Look, it's showing everything on here. So let's make our graph look nice. Click forward, and I'll go through this quickly because there's another section, another YouTube video where I showed you in a little bit more detail how to do this. But basically, you can make the graph look like however you want it to. Anatolia sales. I'll give it a brief title. Typical versus REO versus short sales. Okay, so call it something like that. Let's see, chart. Okay, I want to take out this black line. I never like that black line. One thing I always do on the graphs, on all my graphs, I always put my website or blog, because if someone ends up using it online, then I want to make sure that someone knows that, hey, this was actually created by me. And so, a little marketing tool, but I mean, hey, this is my property here, huh? So I go to chart and backplane. Let's make this blue. The gray's a little depressing. Okay, and so this is just cosmetics here, making it look nice. Let's say all sales November 2010 to November 2011. Okay, that looks good. And x-axis, we're going to add an axis line. Let's clean this up a little bit. Major ticks every 50,000. Okay, that looks good. Blah blah blah. And this is just all to make it look nice. The most important part down here, you'll see under the plot, there's 3 different sales prices. And I believe the blue ones here, those were the typical sales, you remember? And this is where it's really important to remember, what did the data look like, okay? I've spent a lot of time on this. It can just be maddening to think what did everything look like. I remember the arm's length sales had the highest sales in the market. One was above 450. And so what I'm going to do here is I clicked on this one, and it's blue, so I know we're talking about arm's length. I'm going to highlight name, and I'm going to give it a title. I'm going to say typical. Okay, that's really important. Now I'm going to go to markers. I want them to all be the same shape, just my preference. And I'm going to go to the next one. Well, let's see, these pink ones. I believe these were the REOs. Honestly, I could be wrong about that. I'm not going to take the time to go back right now and make sure that I'm right, just because that's not what the real purpose is here. Okay, so I'm going to go to data. I'm going to give it the name. Let's see, REO. Okay, and obviously if I was making a graph for a client or someone else, you got to make sure that these are right, obviously. Click on the other one. Let's see, we're looking with the yellow ones on the graph. Color, I'm going to make sure that the marker that I'm using all circles, and that they're all the same size. That kind of helps me. I don't like when they're all squares and triangles and different things. I like them to be all the same shape. I know, call me anal, but that's how it goes. I'm going to call these short sales, okay? And then what we can do is click insert. Now I can put my mouse anywhere on the screen, hold it down, and then draw the graph. Okay, so you can kind of see where all the sales are. Here's all the arm's length sales. But then you figure, well, what are they? Well, let's double click the graph one more time, and then click plot, and then click add, and go to legend. Okay, the cool part is that it shows typical. There's something I can grab and put it on the graph. It shows it gives you a legend for what you're looking at. So you pulled over here. Typical sales are in blue, REO are the ones in pink, and then short sales are the yellow ones. So anyway, that's how you do it. Let me know if you have any questions, and see what kind of trends you can really graph and show visually. I hope this was helpful. I hope it helps my friend that asked me today, and I hope it helps anyone else. If you have any questions, give me a call, 916-595-3735, or look me up, sacramentoappraisalblog.com. Hey, thanks everyone. You take care, okay?